you could actually read through a Reddit thread, right? And figure out if there's someone who's really good at making predictions out there. And these are things you could never do before. So we're actually augmenting and complementing the traditional modeling approach and techniques with these less structured data sets, which could unlock just a ton of potential.
I'm John Wright, and you're listening to Affiliate BI, the business intelligence and affiliate marketing podcast brought to you by Snapstrong. Welcome to the Affiliate BI podcast. Today we're chatting with Conor, Cassidy, and Justin Nelson from TheCrowdsLine or TheCrowdsLine.ai. I'm going to pass it back to both of you to tell me, what do you guys do at TheCrowdsLine and what is TheCrowdsLine?
Awesome. First of all, thanks for having us, John. I'm Conor Cassidy. I'm based out of New Jersey, former banking guy, worked at Bank of America for 7 years, and got to the point, John, where you look at your boss, you're like, do I want to be this guy? Right. So I'm a sports addict, right? Every night I'm watching all the games. I got a couple TVs in my living room. So I wanted to go into sports analytics, and sports betting naturally fit into that. So here at the CrowdsLine, we're basically a startup that's doing sports analytics, predicting sports, trying to capitalize on inefficiencies in the sports betting markets, almost as if we're traders on Wall Street. So my role on the team, I'm the product manager. They brought me in to do finance work, but I'm involved in a lot of areas of the business. And we're going right to consumers, giving them access to predictive models that they can use to help improve their betting experience. And I'm going to pass it to Justin because he's actually the brains behind our models and he makes all the magic happen.
Hi, I'm Justin Nelson. Before this, I was doing quant finance for about 20 years before this. In the last 10 or so years, I was building systematic trading strategies in the future space. So trading commodities and currencies and indices. Built some very systematic trading strategies, one involving the large ensemble of neural networks. I had 2 hedge funds in a row out of business on me for the fault of other people within 18 months. I was on the sidelines trying to see what to do next. And well, you know what? I could use the change. And Anthony reached out to me. I used to work with him way back in 2009. I was first starting out. He reached out to me and said, and with this idea, and I said, yeah, let's give it a go. First, it was more of a sort of play on large language models. We're building on top of them, trying to build like a sports analyst bot. But then we had a third party for our betting recommendations. I started looking into their recommendations, how they were doing. I was like, oh, there's some signal here, but it's not profitable. It's not good, but it's definitely positive signal. So I just need some more signals. So went out and just found a bunch of other sources. And then that's how we naturally came to this thing where we're the NFL season 2 seasons back. And all of a sudden I was like, hey guys, I think I built a player prop betting model, and we started tracking it and started doing pretty well. So we shifted more focus toward that. To back up, I'm kind of sports analytics here at TCL. So I'm leading the charge on the model building, first for the NFL, the NBA, and then MLB. So now we're in our second season, second go around. And I've learned a lot. And he's really stepped up, done a lot of different things. Like he came in, like I said, we can do some finance, some market research. And now he's basically the second best developer on the team. He's been very helpful. And also, he knew sports betting a lot better than I did. Yeah, I knew sport pretty well. I played football even through MIT, all 4 years at MIT. Go Beavers. But so that's probably where I know the best. And so it's been a really good sort of connection between us about that information. But yeah, it's been very interesting year and a half or so.
Yeah, it's an interesting background some of you guys have, because I know with like you and Anthony have banking backgrounds, and there's like the communities, in my opinion, almost intersect a little bit. You've got the sports betting community, you've got the whole Wall Street bets. Didn't Robinhood jump into the game with wanting to offer like betting? And then of course we see like the rise of political betting. So I
You
think
see,
it's the right place and the right time.
you see a Kalshi snuck in
Yes.
contracts for sports betting. The CFTC didn't realize that they were doing it until after it was done.
Which is brilliant. I've only read about that a couple of days ago. I'm like, how did they get this through? And it looks like they just said, "This is what we're going to do. Do you approve?" Yes, we approve. And then,
It was very ambiguously worded. It was definitely worded in such a way that if you were reading it quickly, you would not think, "Oh, Super Bowl right there." Definitely not. It was worded to get our under the wire.
it's just proof that people don't read the terms and conditions. Let's be realistic. All right, so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into TCL. What makes it AI?
Yeah. So I'm going to let Justin speak on this one, but essentially, like Justin said, we came in and we see what's happening with these large language models, right? ChatGPT, absolutely incredible tool. We're all on it. And the one thing ChatGPT would not do is if you ask it a sports betting question, it would say, sorry, I don't talk about that topic. So when we came in, we said, we want to be the ChatGPT for sports betting. So Justin and some of our teammates have tons of experience in this area. But quickly that changed, right? ChatGPT is now actually open to answering questions like these.
And having
So
real knowledge. It's before like you have to do a bunch of work to get real time knowledge. And now it's just there.
yeah, so it's pretty impressive. So we still see an opportunity to leverage generative AI to actually pair together with our service, right? Because what we've learned is users all have different preferences of what they want to bet on, whether it's overs or unders, or they want to bet on the Knicks only, or they want to parlay, right? So it's hard for us actually to capture that without, we can do it, but it's much easier and more personalized. If we could do it with generative AI. So, with that said, all of our models and predictive services are leveraging machine learning techniques that Justin can speak at better than me. But essentially, we're able to crowdsource all of this data and forecasts from third parties. So, there's tons of forecasts, John, for how many points LeBron James is going to score tonight. So we're actually able to take that in, and the machine learning model is able to study this through time at a level that a human brain could never do. For example, which predictor is the best in the morning time before there's all these injury reports? Who does the best after the injury reports comes out? These are analytics that is just insights that we can tease out using the machine learning algorithms that helps remove some of our human bias, which is our number one issue with sports betting, right? Is bias, and we're able to form what we've found is strikingly accurate predictions that smooth out the biases and help us really make informed decisions using some of this new technology that wasn't available before.
Okay.
And Justin, I'll let you talk about the modeling.
Yeah, we're starting to add some light LLM aspects to it for the injury report type stuff. We started about a month or so back, we got to the point where we were scraping errors. We found certain Twitter handles which are pretty good at injuries, just looked at their history, and now we're scraping that and using that to adjust because we're using these third party projections, right? So injury news comes out, the market's got to move immediately, but they're human beings on their side. They have to go and update their projections, and so their projections are not going to update right away. We basically we look at, oh, does this source still have a number for LeBron James side because he's just been announced out? If they still have a number for him, that means they don't know he's out yet. Okay, we're gonna drop them until they figure that out. So that's helped a lot to just get rid of the market moving faster than our sources can move. But besides that, yeah, a lot of a laundry list of machine learning techniques are being done. You have the sources that get you to lose expected value. And machine learning is done to evaluate their historical performance on the different bet types and just normalize across a lot of different things. You're not getting weighed down by certain by outliers. But then there's also a ton of work being done on historical game data because the sources can give us an expected value, but the sort of the general idea of the model is to get to a median, to the 50th percentile on the distribution, and then to be able to build a probability distribution around that. So we have a full probability distribution for all the different player bet types, which allows us to price out the alt bets. And it's actually an area that we're doing extremely well in for the alternative bets, the higher odds. It's just measuring volatility and correlation. Something when you're trading futures, you got to know that stuff pretty well, way more than even equities, like because the volatility in futures land varies a lot across asset types. The correlation structure there are very complex. And so I've personally have done a lot of sort of research and methodology building on top of that stuff. That's where the model really shines. It's getting the tails a lot better than a lot of the people and getting the correlations right to build, just to put some risk management in there. So you're not betting on the same thing over and over again. So, it's a ton of action. There's also just there's plenty of really simple stats that work very well if you do it correctly. It's not all the latest buzzwords in there either. It's plenty of just old school stats stuff going on there too. But yeah, a lot of machine learning. We're starting to do a little more language models. Like Connor, I mentioned earlier, we've always thought the idea was to build a chatbot on top of this analytics to make it easier for the consumer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way my small brain thinks about this stuff, John, is a lot of the models today are built off traditional data sets, right? A structured table of data, right? And I think the opportunity we're seeing and that we're actively building out our capabilities is leveraging these large language models to find predictive signals in less structured data. So you could actually read through a Reddit thread, right? And figure out if there's someone who's really good at making predictions out there. And these are things you could never do before. So we're actually augmenting and complementing the traditional modeling approach and techniques with these less structured data sets, which could unlock just a ton of potential.
So
Yeah,
what you're saying is we should just redact and block out what you just said because we have some competitors that could be listening to this.
the details. There's a long line of talking to investors and to employers about like quant strategies and knowing that I can give away a decent amount because there's so many little decisions in there that make it work. That the overall structure is great, but you need a lot of work to go from the broad idea to actually something that works.
Okay. So I got a question where, and I've got a background in professional gambling, and where is this app going? If this is this meant to be something that's on average going to produce winning strategies, or is this to minimize the house edge of the pain that you're going to experience? Because let's just fast forward. We've got a sports book like Pinnacle that's been almost amazing from day one for 20 plus years of actually knowing exactly how to do the odds because the founder's background, to my understanding, is like they knew odds inside out better than anyone else. Now we have an ability to aggregate this data and come up with like, what should the perfect odds be? And then what should the perfect odds be for that player? So is this a cat and mouse game where you're going to get so good that your account gets banned? Where do you see that? Where's this end game going?
Yeah. So great question. So I don't know if in post production editing you have the ability to put a visual on, but we can show Justin's just so our model, it actually tells you the optimal combination of bets to do at any time.
It's a
So
Okay.
portfolio.
it's scanning across all of these sports books, analyzing every single prop and saying, do this and wager this exact amount. And Justin's been doing this. And just in the last 2 months, he's went from $5,000 to 55,000 or 57,000, something like that. So we'll show
Wow.
the screenshot. But essentially,
And now I'm banned basically every book.
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah,
what I thought because that's where it gets complex. Because it's when I look at other examples of okay, we have poker over here. You've got poker bots that if you're a player, you want to know if you're playing a bot, and then of course in the world of chess, you have the same thing. You've got perfect play where you can just get annihilated. Obviously, it goes without saying when we're talking about poker and sports betting, there's money involved. You're just going against the house, but yeah, it'd be great to have a winning strategy up until you get banned.
yeah, exactly. Where do we see it going? If you wanted to make a lot of money, you could follow it to a T, right? And that's what Justin's doing. And we do recognize challenges there because you can get banned because we are so good at doing this. But if we just take a step back, John, the opportunity we see right now is the sports betting industry is competitive on all fronts, right? Competitive for us. There's a lot of companies trying to do predictions. Competitive for the sports books operators. So FanDuel and DraftKings have a stronghold on the market share there, but there's all these other players looking to gain market share. What are they doing to try to differentiate themselves? They try to offer more bets and more things to bet on.
True.
And while Pinnacle is fantastic at setting the lines on, say, the over under for the game or the spread or who's going to win, there's all of these new markets coming through where you go and you can bet on how many free throws a player is going to make in the first quarter.
Exact numbers of any stat now is also available. There's like 4 assists.
Yeah. What's the challenge here, John, that we're keying in on and picking apart is Pinnacle comes out and they set the game total on an NBA game to say 239 and a half, right? Over under. And then that some smart better comes in and bets the over and they move that line up, right? To 200, say they shave it up or move it up 2 points. What does that mean for all the player profs? Who's going to score those two extra points, right? And what quarter is going to happen? And is it going to be a free throw or a 2 point shot? So while the sports books excel at setting the prices for many of the traditional bets, there's all these new betting markets that are coming out that are not priced efficiently. So we know the sports book operators are struggling with this, John. We see an opportunity to do one of two things or both is we Justin's an expert at predicting these micro markets. So we could be giving them our intelligence through an API and helping them price these less standard props more efficiently. Or we can go directly to the consumers and help them exploit this and make money. So It's a really flexible business model where we
That
can
was
do a
our,
lot of things.
yeah, originally why we originally said, oh, let's do a company and not just, run a hedge fund is because we knew that we get banned too well. So that was always the reason to democratize it and sell to consumers because, okay, we can't individually get super wealthy of it, but we can just spread it out to everyone. And those people can do it better than what they have been doing. And humans are humans. They're gonna listen to model some, but they're gonna take their own bets. They're gonna take their own shots. And this allows them to do that. They can basically have this sort of balance in the thing where, okay, if I have these bets on the side, when I know I'll make a slight profit and I can use that way to take the long shots that make me happy. Have some fun with that. That's a sort of a good strategy to not get banned. It's the constant taking sort of lotto tickets. And then every now and then one will hit and you're feeling pretty good. That's the idea. Is like, if you spread it out to a lot of people, then any of those things constantly updating, right? So the lines move, that the portfolio comes down again in 6 months. Now it's adjusted to those lines and there's new bets now. There's new bets that appear. Things constantly churning with new bets and the odds move as projections moves. Also the exchanges are coming out, which are peer-to-peer exchanges, and those don't ban people. Like that's what I've been doing now since most of the books won't take much action. I'm on the exchanges now. There's some decent liquidity there.
Okay, I'm going to pivot a bit because I'm just thinking out loud. If you've got this amazing tech stack that you've built and you come from the finance space, why couldn't you copy similar models and go right back in the finance space, knowing which stocks to buy, which ones to trade? That whole industry of trading stocks and currencies is just it's infinite. Doesn't it sound like there could be bigger potential in printing money?
It's also these crowdsourcing analysts projections in equities markets is being done for the last 60 years. It's a lot of this has played out somewhat in the financial markets. I think with the large language models, you might that's perhaps the opportunity to go back to to take this to the finance markets is to the leverage the large language models to get the more under some more non traditional data, and then I think with that in your sort of quiver, I think you can go to the financial markets and do so. But the idea of like we were taking these sort of available sources. And sort of the best analogy in the finance world would be the sell side analysts, which give ratings, buy, wholesale, or estimates for earnings, whatnot. And people have been researching how to combine those signals forever. There's hundreds of thousands of very smart people doing that. Good ideas. I've never played that world. My quant models were always technical basis, price and volume. But I know people that do that they can make money doing that. The structure's there, but yeah, I think the ability to take it to finance market, you have to go a level deeper than a dozen experts, right? You have to be crowdsourcing more. I always tell people there's two ways to win the quant trading space. Either you have a better model or you have data that other people don't have. And the latter is a much easier way to do it.
Okay. What do you think are the B2B applications of this? Because you mentioned like this is useful stuff to sports books so they can better price their odds. I'd imagine this is what a bookmaker would want. They'd want this power to, if they're not building these analytics tools, they have to acquire them. So what's the B2B potential of this?
Yeah, yeah, great questions. Data science teams are not cheap, right? So a lot of these companies that we might meet at a conference or we're networking with, they want predictive analytics because they see how this is progressing, how the this is really what differentiates a lot of companies in the space is their ability to make predictions. But it's expensive to do in-house. So observed a lot of demand for outsourcing that through a company like us, right? And if you look at the split, John, between the B2C world, where there's all these companies like us going direct to consumer trying to sell our predictions, right? It's like the consumer's a gumball and we're all ants and we're just crawling towards it, all crawling over it, trying to get a bite. With B2B, there's a lot less competition. And of the competition there is, we track this stuff and we feel so confident we're the most accurate predictions. So if you're a sports book, you have an opportunity to actually get our forecast directly transmitted to you through an API, and it basically solves the whole problem for them. And that would kill off our B2C business, but it would probably be more profitable. But we also are on the side of the consumer in that we want to help people. We want to make this technology more accessible to the average better. The sports books already are using machine learning and AI techniques, but the average Joe doesn't, right? So we see an opportunity to really flip the landscape and give the power back to the consumers. So that's what we're going for right now. But we are actively seeking out partners to really scale this thing to the next level.
Now, would these be affiliate partners as well? Because it could be anything, right? Affiliate partnerships. It goes without saying. We all know what happened, a couple weeks or months ago. OddsJam acquired by gambling.com for 160 million. It's not too bad.
Not bad. Yeah. It's the beautiful thing about our model, John, our business model is we could actually benefit all stakeholders, right? If you're a sports book, chances are getting picked off on a bad line to not get they're not going to lose sleep over it, right? What they're really trying to do is attract new players, new customers, and retain those players. So with our website actually is every 6 minutes, like Justin said, is scanning and recommending a menu of bets saying, go do this at DraftKings, go do this at MGM. So we actually are holding the keys to driving traffic to these operators. So if you're a sports book and you just want to attract new players, we can be a great affiliate partner where we're giving some sort of promotion to our customer. We're pointing them to some good bets and we're delivering a new customer to the operator. So it's a win on all sides.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So that's a good example there. Um, yeah. And then as far as some of I mean, we can partner with affiliates outside of the sportsbook business as well. In terms of a company like yours, where we want to bring in new players to us, and we have a social media marketing campaign, for example, and we want to track all these influencers helping us get our brand out there. We have opportunities to work with affiliates on that side as well, in terms of the tracking and gathering intelligence about how people are discovering us and whatnot.
Okay. I talked about like this end game scenario where everyone's just playing perfect strategy because they're just betting perfectly. But do you think there's always going to be a demand for the player to be like, I want this information, but I'm never betting against my team, even though that's the right positive EV play? Where do you see this kind of going where I think communities are going to be where a lot of the betting players will hang out? Like they want to talk about their team, whether it's their own literally group of friends or it's in a community. Let's say you're an Eagles fan and you just want to talk about that. I think there's a time and place where here's the perfect bet at the right time, but I don't think everyone's going to be ready to do it unless it was fully automated, which maybe is possible, but I'm not sure. That would just take the fun out of the game if you're just running it on autopilot, just a auto bet.
Yeah. No, it's a really important topic because what I one of the coolest parts of my day job is I get to go out and talk to customers and do the market research. And when you ask someone in your mind's eye, what's a good bet? How would you define that? I kid you not, everyone has a different answer because a good bet means something different. You might be a Knicks fan, you say, it's a good bet if it's on the Knicks winning. That's a great bet. But Justin would probably tell you a good bet is betting under zero point 0.5 assists because no one else is betting that. So the price is wrong. So everyone has a different opinion. And that's where the generative AI and some of these modern technologies come into play, where we can actually capture the unique preferences of individuals and deliver to them what the optimal picks are within their preferences or within their constraints. So to go back to your question, if everyone is playing the optimal strategy, you're absolutely right. It does not work. But what we found is the optimal strategy actually varies by person. And we have an opportunity to serve that up at an individual level in a way that wouldn't necessarily conflict.
You see this in finance markets too. You like different investors, traders have different utility functions, right? So you could you have two people that's on different sides of the same trade, and both of them it was a good trade for what they're trying to accomplish. Like there is variation in what people want with the situation. And people always gotta have their overlays, their sort of discretionary gut feel overlays. That's great. You can bring any more information to the table. That's just gonna help.
Okay, maybe a stupid question, but couldn't you argue that your app turned sports betting into a game of skill?
Who said it wasn't?
I think it can be a game of skill, just like poker, but it goes without saying there's the whole debate about what's gambling and what's a game of skill. I've always said poker's a skill game. Sports
So
betting, when you know what you're doing, it's a skill game. And I'm pretty sure, like the stock market, I'd call that another skill game opportunity where, if anything, I'd actually call the stock market a bigger opportunity for actual gambling.
yeah. Given that it's much harder to find signals because so many people are trying to find the signals, like it's much closer to random than things which have signals which are easier to find. So
Yeah. And what I'd say, John, is this. When I acted when I came on, like I quit Bank of America and hit the ground running and was making all this money, right? The truth is, when I quit for about 1 to 2 years, I was trying to actually bet profitably myself. And I don't have the data science modeling quant background as that Justin has. Without that, my results were very flattish, where I'd have a great couple months and then I'd have a poor couple months. So there was, in that sense, it almost was like a game of chance. Then when I discovered the power of really anchoring to these predictive models that are not necessarily looking back, but they're predicting the future, the stability and consistency of my returns has done a complete 180, where now it's much less volatility and more consistency. And last thing I'll say is you saw it yourself. We started a subreddit for the CrowdsLine, and I started putting out a pick of the day there. And I kid you not, we went, I think, 25-3 on the first 28 I did.
and the average odds were like plus 110 or plus 115. They were positive odds on average.
Yeah. So literally asked Justin, I said, what are the chances of just guessing and hitting this many in a row at that price? Right. And it was like minuscule to do that
Yeah.
out of chance. So
Okay.
we
So
feel we actually have the metrics to prove that it's not chance, it really is skill.
We're trying to be, extremely transparent. On our website, you can see performance. We have a mailing list that allows you to see the bets. We're open book. You have to build trust with people. That's the only way they're going to use your model. And so, we're all for just letting people see everything that's being done because we stand by it. It's working.
Okay. I've got two more questions before we wrap up. One is the challenging question, which I didn't prepare you guys for. It's about affiliate marketing, but I think you guys are still well versed to do it. I want to dig back into the app itself. What are some of the applications of what this can do? So we talked about it's an application that could be intelligence for or a BI tool for operators. It could obviously plug in play into any affiliate site. I think when you're watching a game, there's a possibility for having a game player that actually overlays the odds. And I actually think there's some on the market, and then it goes without saying, this you've got data that could populate. It could auto write AI content. It could go into it could actually be like a sidebar widget. Say, hey, if you're reading this content or you're on this forum, here's some live, not just live odds, but here's live odds with our pick. And as the odds change, the pick can either stay or dissolve. What are some examples? What did I miss?
Yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day, but our goal, our vision is to actually be the Kelly Blue Book for sports betting. In that we're not all there's all these companies out there claiming, "Yep, I have the best model, come to me. Don't go to anyone else because I'm the best," right? And there's dozens of companies saying the same thing. And what we're doing is basically looking around the room and saying, "Hold up. There's a lot of good models out there." So, we're basically studying all of these public forecasts out there and coming up with a really sharp consensus of what we feel the fair price should be. And I mentioned Kelly Blue Book 'cause that's very similar to what they're doing. They're crowdsourcing all of this transaction data and from the country, and they're able to give you a really precise, granular estimate of what your specific make and model is worth, given where you are in the country and what county you're in and the mileage and everything, right? So they're the most trusted source, and that's our goal. When ESPN Monday Night Football is showing their analytics on a broadcast, or even Amazon's a great example because they're doing this. They have what they call an alt cast, where their Thursday night game you can go and watch, and they actually overlay betting insights. So we see a massive opportunity to be that go-to source that is printed everywhere as this is the fair odds that something's going to happen. And we see opportunity in fantasy sports as well. NFL fantasy's really taken off, but in the NBA, for example, we know they're frustrated actually that their fantasy product hasn't taken off. So we see an opportunity to partner with some of the leagues even and leverage our insights to get people excited and feeling confident enough to go and enter some of these fantasy contests that they never would have before.
Yeah, because with basketball and baseball fantasy, this is basically where the sort of automation and the analytics really help out. Because football, it happens once a week. You have all week to think about it, your roster. You have time to figure it out and do it. With basketball, and especially baseball, it's so much work to do fantasy. It's just a ton of work. So if you could just build the tools to help people get through that a lot faster, they can keep their own insights, but also bring in some new independent ones. I think that would help the product, right? Because the big issue is it takes too much time to do on a daily basis. Tools like this could help people automate a chunk of it and still give them room for their own sort of discretionary when they have it, but let's rely on the model when they don't have the time to do all the games.
So we have the next.io conference coming up in New York City. So what are the odds that the CrowdsLine gets acquired this year? Don't answer that. We'll wait till after the conference and we'll see how it goes. So last question, the challenging curveball I'm going to throw your way. What do you guys see as the future of affiliate marketing as it intersects with business intelligence?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not as ingrained in that space. So I want to give you a great answer, but I don't want to talk out of my butt.
I can give you the alley oop. So I'll give you a bit of insights of what I've seen in the past year and a half, and this is why I actually believe you guys have a massive opportunity in affiliate marketing. Yeah, Connor, I think Justin, we've chatted a bit. Connor and Anthony quite a bit. Products are floating to the top in the new world of Google. Google's saying, "Are you real? Is there realness behind you? Not just real people, but a real product." You guys have a real product. So what's happening in the world of SEO is your ability to generate a link coming to back to your site is easier. If you guys actually start doing, let's say with the Reddit community, and it just keeps going and you're stacking all these wins, at some point someone might write an article about you. Like you're only 2 steps away from actually being written up on ESPN for talking about what you guys do. So I think your ability to do SEO, the old way of SEO today, or let's say in the last couple of years, is like you write content, you build links, and it costs money and time. Now you've actually got the power where you can almost like just kickstart that fire.
Yeah, because there's so much competition, anything we can do to stand out would help, right? I think the challenge that we're all facing is this barrier to trust where it takes a lot of consistent performance or consistent engagement to actually earn that trust. And it's very easy to lose, right? I think that it's this might not be the answer you were looking for. I feel like this is becoming a marketing arms race where we are so confident we have the best predictive analytics,
Yeah,
but none of us are marketing guys, right? So we feel that some other companies are bubbling up to the top because they have that SEO expertise or whatnot. So to bring it home, I think there is an opportunity to actually partner with these affiliates to help us fill that gap where we
smart.
can get credit for the great work we're doing in a way that's consistent with some of our peers who we feel are just cheating the system.
Yeah. That's actually a pretty good answer because it's not everyone sees that opportunity that you could actually connect the dots with an affiliate. So it's like you can compete with them or you can be a data supplier or a partner. And I think that's actually starting to become maybe not normal, but it's like a new avenue of affiliate marketing. It's not what was done in the past, it's what are the new opportunities moving forward. And then maybe what I'll do just to wrap things up is give you guys what I think you guys could do to amplify it. So, Connor, you said something that was really interesting, which is trust. Like, how do people trust you? So, when I try to look at my journey of not only starting this podcast, but being a SaaS company for affiliates, it's like, how do I build trust? Now, I didn't know what I was doing, but I started a podcast as a means of building trust. I needed to put my face out there and make sure people see me, not in an annoying way, like, hey guys, look at me, but going, what kind of content can I write that's going to be in front of them or one step ahead? So I think, and I mentioned this before, I think a podcast could really stand out where it might be a bit slow. Like you've seen the experience with the Reddit channel. It's like, it's slow, but you never know. You're just one post away from things blowing up where, like, I'll give you an example. What if someone read posts or copies your posts in a big Reddit channel, like subreddit for sports? That would be pretty crazy where you've actually documented everything. So I think the things that you guys could do, it's like, I don't think you need to do a ton, but I think a podcast could actually be a powerful thing. We're doing one right now. And I think if you can just find a way the link building is an easy thing to turn on. Just some small wins in some content, I think, can go a long way. Like we talked about a few competitors in this podcast. We put that into writing, put that back on Reddit. It's there's a small ranking, small wins. So you'll stack them over time. And if you've got that good of a product, then it's worth challenging some of the other ones at the marketing race.
Yeah, and I will say for a small company like us, we're so heads down. It's easy to have your blinders on. Where you're not thinking about some of these low hanging fruit that could actually take us to the next level. I think folks like you who are not only nudging us and saying, guys, you got to do this, but also educating us on why we have to do it. I think it's really helpful. So we really appreciate always the engagements with you, and we look forward to seeing where it could grow.
And you do have one superpower in that, which is you focus on one thing and do it well. So even though you could say, let's spend a bit more time on SEO, but imagine if you did that, SEO would have been growing, but you wouldn't have the product you have today. I don't see a wrong playbook here.
Yeah, it's like a chicken or the egg kind of thing, right?
I think we're to a point now where it took a lot of work just to get all the models to a point where we're comfortable. Now we're well past that point, and now it's time to put more effort on the other side because I'm an obsessive person. I've just had my head in these models, and I could do that all day. And so I need to stick my head out of the sand sometimes and do more of these things to get people's attention.
Okay, I'm going to pass it back to you guys to say thanks a lot for doing this, Justin and Connor. I want to give the microphone back to you to say where can people get a hold of you? And it goes without saying, post some social, tell me the social links of where you're posting these picks. Because if you just said you've got, what was it, plus 100 odds, 25 and 3 or something like that, what was it?
Yeah, that was our
We
daily
got to
pick of
we
the
got
day.
to follow you. So that's going in the show notes. Let's hear it.
Yeah, thanks, John. So first and foremost, you can get our models predictions yourself right on our website, www.thecrowdsline.ai. And that's where we have free content. So you can actually see the model's 10 favorite picks at any time, completely free across sports. And if you want to see everything, you can literally search any prop you're interested in and see what the model thinks. We have very competitive subscription options. So that's where you can get everything yourself. And then we are posting featured content. So a featured pick of the day, which is going out on our Twitter or X social media, which is at TheCrowdsLine AI, and our Reddit, our subreddit, which is also called TheCrowdsLine AI. Or sorry, it's the crowd. I think that's just the Crowdsline.
Got it.
And
Justin, how
then,
about you?
yes.
I'm just my own personals. So I don't
Well,
know.
if you're on any of the socials, if we can follow and
Sure.
spy on what you are posting about, if you're giving any good gossip or tips away from, you know,
Yeah, I'd say our content mainly is those official gals that Conor mentioned. But yeah, I'm on Twitter. X, my handle is Justin Does Math.
nice. All right, gentlemen, thanks a lot. Looking forward to seeing you guys for the first time in New York City at next.io. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, John.
Thank you for tuning in to the Affiliate BI podcast. I'd like to take this time to ask for a small favor to leave a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. That helps us expand our reach to rank higher in podcast directories and reach more listeners.